Welcome to Wide Eye Sports, where every play, every moment, and every decision gets broken down like never before. The lights are on, the stakes are high, and it all starts right here, right now. We will now take you down to introduce the starters.
Brenner Mills, Minnesota Vikings. Just want to win one before I die.
Lane Cooner, the conductor of the Baker Train.
Welcome in to Franchise Tag Frenzy, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brenner, your host. We got Spoon and Dalt joining us this week. How you boys doing?
I'm exhausted.
Nobody asked you.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Spoon's been moving. He just set up his whole computer and desk setup, like just now finished, and then hopped on the pod with us, so we appreciate him. Dalt has also been moving, but not just set up his stuff, so they've both been going crazy. I've been working a ton, but we're here to talk Franchise Tag Frenzy. We're going to be talking deals. We're going to be talking tags. We're going to be talking players that did and didn't get tagged. We're going to go over all of it, so I'm going to start with a little shout out to Saquon Barkley, who got a new deal today. This isn't franchise tag talk, but got a new deal today. I have the notes right here. So he gets a 2-year extension worth $41 million, with 36 of that fully guaranteed, making his new average annual value $20.6 million, becoming the first running back to break the $20 million mark. And I can't say anything but well deserved. Me and Dalt have had discourse. What was that?
I said I wouldn't argue with that at all.
Yeah, no. Me and Dalt have had discourse of should you pay running backs, should you not pay running backs. And while I am still in the camp of I would prefer not to pay a running back if at all possible, when you have a Saquon Barkley, you pay him. I'll agree. If you have that guy, you pay that guy. So, but overall, outside of maybe 2 or 3 guys, don't pay running backs. But that's just a quick. Anybody got anything they want to say on that? Anything they want to say?
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. Unless you have an elite talent at running back, I don't think you really need to pay a running back that much. And Saquon, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey.
Whoa. Well, come on. I mean, I feel like we could just make that point with any position. If you don't have an elite wide receiver, don't pay him elite running. If you don't have a QB,
but with quarterbacks, But with quarterbacks, it's different. Like they pay quarterbacks, right? Like Sam Darnold's going to get 40 plus.
Yeah,
that's just going to happen.
Also, I also think that just to jump off topic a little bit, I think it is like I think it's a little crazy you guys haven't announced what you're doing with Sam Darnold yet.
Oh, okay. Well, and actually, that's a great transition because he's next up on the docket. Sam Darnold is officially not being franchised as of today. The deadline just passed a few minutes ago. He is not being franchised. And there was a lot of talk out there about, will the Vikings franchise tag Sam Darnold? Will they tag and trade Sam Darnold? Let me just give you guys, as an avid Minnesota Vikings fan, I was very in tune to this, very, had my own personal opinions, what I thought the team would do, what I thought they wouldn't do. I'm unhappy. I wish they would have tagged and traded him because there's plenty of precedent for it throughout NFL history of this exact situation. And then you tag and trade the guy for a second, for a 3rd round pick.
That way you get something out of the deal.
Yeah. And in a year in which the Vikings have 4 total draft picks, I think we could use the extra compensation. And what ended up happening was the Sam Darnold camp essentially was not willing to work with the Vikings to make a deal possible where they want full control. They want to handle the situation themselves. And essentially behind the scenes, this isn't being reported, but behind the scenes told the Vikings, hey, listen, if you franchise tag us, we are just going to sit on your bench and cost you $40 million a year. We will not agree to a trade. So do with that what you will. So it was either pay Sam Darnold $40 million to sit on your bench behind J.J. McCarthy or let him walk. And I'm not willing to pay him $40 million, and neither were they. So they let him walk. And it's still being reported that they're working on a deal post-franchise tag. I don't think that's real. I think that's all just to save face for reporters. because the Vikings were leaking, right? They're leaking out, hey, no, we definitely want to bring Sam Darnold back. We want to work on a deal, because if you don't, and you're trying to tag and trade him, if you go, oh no, we don't want him, we're just trying to tag and trade him, then teams go, well, if you don't want him anyways, you're just going to cut him if we don't make a deal with you. So we're not going to make a deal with you, which everybody knew that's what they wanted to do. And so there was no market for it. So nobody was willing to work on a tag and trade. Therefore, he's just going to end up getting released. And if you hear anything else, I say BS. Total BS. 100% BS. I would put all my money down on it. There's no way Sam Darnold's a Minnesota Viking next season. So,
no, we've been saying it. We've been saying it all off season. No way.
Yeah,
no way.
He's gonna make, I don't know, probably, I'm gonna say $40 to $45 million on the Raiders or the Giants or the Jets. Probably not the Jets. That would be crazy. Or the Steelers next season. Right? He's gonna make a ton of money somewhere else next year. All right, but that's the Sam Darnold talk. He did not receive the franchise tag. Basically, the biggest name that didn't receive the franchise tag that people were like, oh, are they gonna or are they not gonna? There was only really him. I do want to give a shout out to your Cowboys this week, though, boys. Do want to give a shout out to the Cowboys. Dalt, you want to talk about that? You want to talk about your feelings?
Well, it's funny because originally I was pretty stoked about it, but actually just thinking on it, literally these past couple of minutes, it just is leaning to me that it doesn't seem like we are going to get a Micah Parsons deal.
Definitely not. That was never going to happen. The second you signed CeeDee Lamb, it was out the window.
I don't know, man. You could always hope, that something could have happened. They could have put themselves in cap hell.
They could have. You could have been a 3-win franchise for the next 5 years. You're right. I don't think you want that, though.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of rumors going around about, AJ Brown saying that Micah Parsons said he'd be fine as an Eagle. And honestly, if he does that, especially at this point, it just screams KD to the Warriors to me. Like, yeah, he's an elite player, but that's
a little different.
Okay, well, it just seems like you're chasing a ring at this point. You know what I mean?
But I feel like that's what everybody does when they leave.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, I don't know.
It's harder for you because it's Eagles-Cowboys rivalry. That's why it feels it feels more personal.
Well, and Mike has never been like a rivalry type guy. We've talked about that before. He doesn't care. He likes all of his buddies, and he'll dick ride him till he dies, and that's fine. But like I said, signing Odigizua just kind of pushes it's a little bit further for me that we're not going to get a Micah deal. And honestly, at this point,
Spoon, any thoughts?
You can go.
Well, I mean, I never thought we were going to get a Micah deal. I mean, I don't hate the signing by any means. I don't think we overpaid for him. I think we paid just about right for him.
Yeah.
Second on our team in pressures. He's basically our second best pass rusher on the team right now.
Yeah.
So definitely, at least if you can't hold on to Parsons, you at least need to hold on to Odigizua.
Yeah. Getting him a deal done is awesome, and then CeeDee Lamb taking not a pay cut this year, but moving money around in his deal in order to create cap room so you guys aren't an absolute poverty wreck. It was huge of CD. He's getting his money. He converted $26 million into a signing bonus. So that money hits his bank account immediately. It's kind of a win-win for both sides. Cowboys get cap room. CD gets money in his bank account today. And it makes his new cap hit under $15 million. So win-win for everybody there. Cowboys have a little extra money to fill some holes. If they're smart, they'll move Micah sooner rather than later and get some draft compensation for him.
Have the Cowboys ever done anything smart?
Early
or soon, or I mean, it is
like I said. If they were smart, they'd move him sooner rather than later. But hey. It is what it is.
Signed Dak, waited forever to sign CD, waited until after Mike McCarthy's deadline was over, and then they had the negotiation window, which was weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the Cowboys need to move Micah ASAP. I think they need to, this sounds crazy and this sounds wild here, but you call up, like, I don't know, it's hard. I want to say, like, call up the Panthers or the Saints and, just say straight up,
just
straight up,
awful team.
send him to an awful team and get like a top 10 pick this year. Say, we'll trade him for one first-round pick this year.
I don't know if you could get a first-round pick.
Oh, you get a first-round pick for Micah Parsons. Absolutely.
You really think so?
That's the second or third most important position in football, and he is a top 3 player at it. So
what about Myles Garrett? I mean, Myles Garrett. Remember, no one's.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole. If you want to talk the Myles Garrett,
crazy.
Sorry. If you want to talk the Myles Garrett thing real quick, I think Myles Garrett. I think the Browns should trade Myles Garrett away for as much as they can get, and then trade Myles Garrett for the number 1 overall pick, swap with the Titans, right? And then take Abdul Carter, number 1 overall. And then you replace Myles Garrett and you get the Browns number 1, and then
but
done deal.
I mean, the number 1, I mean, I don't think the Titans would even pick, so like trading
I think the Titans will go Cam Ward. I think they'll go Cam Ward, and you can trade Myles Garrett elsewhere.
That's what I mean. I don't know. Like, I think you should just make him play and fine him. And
he's made so much money. He's made so much money at this point that fining him $25,000 a week, he's gonna go, okay, cool. Here's 25. Here's 25. Here's 20. Like, they've paid him so much money already, he won't care.
I think
at that point you're paying him.
If you get a Cam Ward and you get a good quarterback, get rid of Deshaun Watson, do whatever you got to do.
Ooh.
Figure that whole worst trade of all time, hands down. That is
definitely worst trade ever. That's the worst trade.
No, it's not.
That is the worst.
Maybe number
trade
2.
Ever.
It's probably number 2.
That's it. That's number 1. I love it. I love that. That's the worst trade ever now.
And figure out what you got to do with Deshaun Watson, but Cam Ward, pick up Cam Ward, and then you got a shot. Like, you got a shot to make a little bit better of a team, because we saw flashes of a Browns team that was good with Joe Flacco.
Breaking news. The Saints have released Jamal Williams. Huge news.
So my question, though, you're talking about Micah going for a first. How?
Yeah.
Like, where in the first round would you be confident to give a first rounder away? Like, would you give an early first rounder for him, a mid, maybe a late? Like, where are you at?
So he's 25.
Yeah.
He'll be 26 when next season starts. So you're going to get 5 years out of him. So you're going to get a full rookie contract out of him. So I think he's worth a top 10 pick. I don't think he's worth a top 5 pick anymore, because he's not.
Because I was going to say, I don't think that I would trade away like the number 1, maybe through 3 or 4.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather have Jalen Walker, edge rusher out of Georgia, this year, or Micah Parsons?
See, I'd probably take Micah Parsons.
Exactly, and that's the number 8
You already know what you're getting.
Pick.
You already know what you're getting right there.
Exactly, and that's the projected number 8 overall pick. So at that rate, which do you want? You know what I mean? And so Mike
I was just curious.
Yeah, Mike is just so versatile and so good, and he's still young. Like, he's not 29, 30 years old where you're like, okay, we're going to get a season or 2 out of him. You're going to get 5, maybe even 6 years out of this guy still. So you have you're going to have to pay him. You're going to have to pay him a boatload of cash, but he will be a cornerstone for the next half decade on your team. So I like it a lot. I like it. I like, moving him to a top 10 pick team. Even, crazy thought, like, you guys have the number 12 pick, right? Cowboys pick 12th. You guys could move up into the top 5 if you give Micah Parsons and the number 12 pick for the number 4 pick, I think.
Like, to the Patriots?
Yeah, I think, Patriots have that, and they have Will Campbell, and they could take, the Missouri offensive tackle. I don't remember his name. Armand something. I can't remember his name. But they take him at 12, and there's a top 3 offensive tackle in this draft, and you get your tackle, and you pick up Micah Parsons.
Yep.
I mean, there's just lots of options for the Cowboys. But we're getting caught up on that. Let's talk about the players who did receive the franchise tag this year. There's only really two big names that received the franchise tag, and that is Trey Smith, guard in Kansas City, who I projected would reset the guard market this year. If he hit open free agency, we'll see what happens. The tag could always be rescinded.
Good player on their line.
But they look to get a deal done with him. They're overpaying a lot for that line already. We'll see what happens there. The franchise tag.
They had no other choice to get to a franchise tag this time because like I don't see a world where they don't get an almost completely new line next year.
Well, you can't turn it all over, but there'll be some new faces on it for sure.
Almost like there's definitely going to be at least 3 new guys that you got to get.
At minimum, he's going to make just under $24 million. Trey Smith will with Kansas City Chiefs if he signs that franchise tag tender. And then the biggest one, the one we were all kind of wondering about, was T. Higgins. He got franchise tags a few weeks ago. He's set to make $26.2 million under the franchise tag. Obviously, the Bengals want to keep him and Ja'Marr Chase together. That's 2 bona fide number 1 receivers. I don't see a world in which they let him walk. They will definitely get a deal done. Now, what that deal looks like is who knows. And if they don't get a deal done, I think it'll be a tag and trade scenario where they, have him under the franchise tag and they trade him to a team that's willing to pay him $30 million if that's what he's wanting.
See, that was my question because this went down, I believe, yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was literally moving still yesterday whenever I got the notification. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I thought about it. I was like, do you think this could be a tag and trade scenario here?
It definitely could be. That's definitely on the table for them, but I think they really actually do want to get a deal done. Whereas like the Minnesota Vikings tag and trade, they didn't franchise Darnold because they didn't feel like they could get a tag and trade done. Yeah. I believe this is an actual thing where they want to work a deal with T. Higgins and get a deal done and keep him in Cincinnati long term.
Well, they owe Ja'Marr Chase a deal this year, don't they?
No.
The owner was talking about making him the highest paid.
Well, they just paid him last year. I'm pulling up the contract details now.
Okay. Did they do a deal with him last year? I could have sworn that he was like 1 year left last year, and there was all this controversy about what he should get paid or whatever, and then he never got paid.
No, so he definitely got paid last year.
Okay.
I thought, or maybe they just it was a 1 year. It was this 5th year option. So yeah, he's set to be an unrestricted free agent next year. It was the club option he got, which pays him $21.8 million this year. So he is set to be a free agent next year, but they want to link him up to work together. So they're kind of in a perfect situation where they can kind of work at both deals at the same time and set them up to not overlap big year-wise and set them to, Ja'Marr Chase has a big year this year, then T. Higgins has a big year, then Chase has a big year, then Higgins has a big year financially. So they're kind of in the best case scenario if they want to get that deal done, but who knows if Ja'Marr Chase is willing to sign that deal.
They're going to get a deal done.
Well, I mean, I don't know. From what Ja'Marr and his camp have said, it's kind of a like either we're going to be the highest paid by a long shot,
I think that's what they're saying,
or I'm going to walk. But
like, what was CD's deal? What was JJ's?
JJ
was
currently
35.
has it. JJ currently
35 a year.
No, CD was lower than JJ.
CD was like $1 million or $2 million less than.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. JJ was the highest, and he's at 35.
Yeah, he's at 35, and so Ja'Marr is thinking like
33.5,
40. Yeah, exactly.
I would give Ja'Marr Chase.
He's not $5 million better than Justin Jefferson.
$40 million a year. I would absolutely do that. What's that? 240. You wouldn't give that to Ja'Marr Chase.
Dalton, hold on.
240 for 40.
$5 million more than Justin Jefferson. That's
in a
outrageous.
vacuum, it's not that insane. But you have to take the JJ contract into you can get Justin Jefferson for less. So, and then you have to also take another thing. If you sign T. Higgins to a new deal, you have to take your cap into account of we can't pay 2 receivers $30 million plus. Can't do it. It's off the table. So if T. Higgins signs a new deal at $31 million a year, you can do 30 million plus each, but you need Jamar Chase
With
to be
the
at 33,
going
34.
up, I think you could. Okay,
But that's all relative. That's
I
all
think Jamar
relative.
Chase, I think you could afford to pay him like 37.5 on a 4-year deal, and then do 30-31 for T. Higgins.
Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You're going to handicap yourself quite a bit. But what you can't do is $40 million a year on average to Jamar Chase and $33 million average a year to T. Higgins. Can't do it.
I mean, still, dude, with the cap goes up every year, like almost
It goes up.
$30 million.
It goes up. I get that, but that's all relative, right there. Then quarterback salaries go up. Then line salaries go up.
It's got to
then
cap out.
quarterback salaries go up.
Like it's got to stop at some point, man.
Not
like,
if they're still making money.
Yep.
We can't just go. What are we just? We're just going to be giving quarterbacks $100 million a year.
Eventually, probably.
Yeah, eventually.
That's insane.
So
We'll get there at
last
some
thing,
point.
last thing we're going to touch on in this video, I want to talk about the different types of franchise tags for everybody. So for those of you who don't know,
Real quick, I'm sorry. Nobody responded to the text because Cowboys put a 2nd-round tender on Kevontae Turpin.
So
what does that mean?
So I'm gonna get into that stuff right now. So there are 3 different kind of tenders. Okay, there is a non-exclusive tender, an exclusive tender, and a transition tender. And those are tender is tag. So non-exclusive is the one you're most commonly going to hear when you hear the word franchise tag. That means that the player that signs the franchise tag, right, he is going to get, if he signs that tag, guaranteed going to get an average of the top 5 at his position or 120% of his previous salary, average annual value. So if he was making $100 million a year before, he would make $120 million this year, right? So that's the first one. And what that means on the first one is he can also, because it's non-exclusive, he can also negotiate with other teams. And other teams can make a deal, and you're his first team, have the right to match that deal, and you would get to sign him. And what that also means is if another team makes an offer and you go, too rich for our blood, you can sign him. You sign him. You then have to give up your next 2 first-round picks to the original team, but you get to sign the player and keep him. Okay. So a 2nd-round tender means they would have to give up their 2nd-round pick if they sign him. Gotcha. So if Turpin signs with another team on that tender, then and the Cowboys said, nope, too rich for our blood, keep him. Now the Cowboys get their 2nd-round pick.
Nice. Okay.
So that's the first one, non-exclusive. The second one is exclusive. That means only you can negotiate with that player. So if Josh Allen were to receive the franchise tag, it would be exclusive franchise tag, right? A player that a team would happily give up 2 first-round picks for. And this was the big thing with Lamar Jackson, Lamar a few years ago. They hit him with the non-exclusive franchise tag. Lamar was able to go and negotiate with other teams, and teams were like, we don't want to pay you and give up 2 first-round picks. Sorry, no thank you. And then he went out and put up an MVP season. Everybody looked really dumb. So a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, a Patrick Mahomes, a Myles Garrett, right? The players that you go, I would give up 2 first-round picks for that guy. Those guys get the exclusive franchise tag. And then the last one is the transition tag. The transition tag is slapped on somebody who generally isn't as highly regarded of a player. A Turpin would generally get a transition tag, and what that means is a transition tag is the average of the top 10 players at your position, and you can negotiate with anybody. There is no compensation, though, if for the original team, if they were to sign with another team, right? So that's either the top 10 average of your position if you sign the tender, or you can go negotiate with another team. That team can give you a deal, and then your original team has the right to match it. And if they're willing to match, you have to sign with them. You can't decline that. But if they're not willing to match, you can go sign with the other team, and the first team doesn't get anything.
Okay.
Does that all make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Those are the 3 kinds of tags. There are different tenders, obviously, for the non-exclusive franchise tag. There's a first-round tender, which is the 2 first, second-round tender, and I think there's a third-round tender, but there's nothing beyond that, because then you get into compensation pick territory, which is a whole nother video we could do. But you guys have any more questions before we wrap the video up? All right, cool. Well, that was free agency or franchise tag frenzy, not free agency frenzy. We're gonna get into free agency frenzy next week. The legal tampering period starts on Monday. Free agency hits Wednesday. So we will be all over that next week, and we will see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.